For more on the Cowboys, we're joined by Dallas Cowboys linebacker Bobby Carpenter and Jean-Jacques Taylor, columnist for the Dallas Morning News. And Jean-Jacques, the opening lines in your column on Monday read, quote, "Wade Phillips presides over the most gutless team in franchise history. That's his legacy forever." Explain why you think that.
Well, there's no shame in losing. Teams lose all the time. The shame comes from losing in a game like that where you commit 5 turnovers on consecutive possessions, 5 consecutive possessions, get outscored 41-0 during the second and third quarters, and show none of the fight, none of the intensity, none of the full-fledged, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win effort that it takes to win a game like that that's a win and get-in game. And that goes directly back to the head coach because he's accountable and he's responsible.
Bobby, what's your reaction to that team being called gutless, the effort being called gutless?
I don't know if it was necessarily a gutless effort. We had a lot of guys that put a lot of time in. And everybody worked hard all week preparing for the game. And sometimes there's just a multi-level breakdown. And obviously there was enough blame to go around there for the offense, defense. Coach Phillips is obviously going to receive some of the blame, and so are both our coordinators for the performance. When you get beat in the manner that we got beat, it's not just a one breakdown on one side of the ball. It kind of spreads around everywhere.
Bobby, Coach Phillips is known for having sort of a loose and friendly personality. He's promising changes. What changes do you expect to see?
Well, I think we even changed a little bit from last year to this year. And, no one team is the same from one year to the next. There's going to be roster turnover, and there's going to be changes in philosophy from what worked one year to the next. So, obviously, I think he's going to take some of the things that helped us win some big games and get to where we were and hopefully be able to take it over the edge and put us into that playoff spot and hopefully making a chance to Super Bowl run next year. But for him to do that, like he said, there's going to need to be some changes because for you to keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, it really isn't going to work. So I think he's going to change his personality maybe a little bit in what we're trying to do, and hopefully that'll help benefit the team.
Jean-Jacques, from your perspective, what do you expect to see in terms of those changes in Phillips and his demeanor?
Not much. I mean, the guy is 61 years old. You wish he was your uncle, your grandfather, your godfather maybe. But I don't think after 30-some years in the NFL you can go, okay, now I'm going to be a tough guy. I mean, I think you can be Tom Coughlin and be a tough guy who eases off a little bit, but you can't be an easygoing guy and then jump in people's face and have them take you seriously. I've talked to several players over the last day or two, and they all go kind of, well, I guess we'll see what happens. But, Wade is a good guy. He's just a bad head coach. He's a great defensive coordinator.
Bobby, you agree? He's a bad head coach?
I don't know if he's necessarily a bad head coach. He's had some success everywhere he's went. Now, he hasn't necessarily put the teams over the top. He's made the playoffs, but he hasn't won a game yet. And that can't be directly attributed all to him. A lot of that falls on the players as well. So, hopefully we're going to be able, and he's going to be able to change enough. And, we're not talking about a complete overhaul here. He's just going to hopefully do some little things. Maybe it's wearing shoulder pads one day versus not, or doing little things like that that are going to be able to help, help the team win and put us in the best position so that we'll be able to carry on and be a successful team next season.
Jean-Jacques, I want to talk about Jason Garrett for a minute. He's the league's highest-paid coordinator, the coach in waiting, but he's been given permission to interview for the Lions job. What do you make of that?
It is the Lions where coaching careers go to die. I mean, I think if I'm Jason Garrett, I think I consider it strongly. I think I take it because the honeymoon here is over. The offense struggled in December. He's lost his genius tag here. He didn't figure out a way to get T.O. the ball, get Roy Williams the ball. Tony Romo has clearly regressed. And when facing 4 of the best defenses in the National Football League in December, his offense was for the most part abject. And so in Detroit, they're going to give you time because that's not a place that goes around firing people if you show some improvement. He's going to have a first-round pick, the number 1 pick in the draft. He's got 2 first-round picks, got a quality receiver in Calvin Johnson. And guess what? In Detroit, if you go 8-8, you get the key to the city. In Dallas, you go 8-8, they're looking for your head.
Let me follow up with you there. Some of the star players have been questioning his play calling. Tony Romo, Terrell Owens hinted at it. How much of that criticism is deserved?
It's absolutely deserved. I mean, when you look at T.O. and he complains, you don't really take it seriously because he complains about everything. When Romo in consecutive weeks says, 1 against Baltimore, we couldn't figure out what to do until the fourth quarter, that sends off some red signals. And then when you get to the Philadelphia game and he goes, well, we got our pass blocking scheme exposed, that's a direct hit on Jason Garrett. And so once the players lose confidence in what you're doing and once they start openly questioning your tactics, then you have to wonder how much control you've got.
Bobby, when it comes to the pulse of the locker room, how is the locker room reacting to this story and some of these criticisms?
Well, I think everybody's upset, and you wouldn't be a competitor if you're not. You know, obviously there's been some reports of some different things happening between players and some of the different stuff going on, and I don't think that you can't really necessarily pay a lot of credence to that because, you know, at the end of the day, we're a pretty good team, and we have a pretty good chemistry. A lot of the guys have been here now for 3, 4, 5 years. They've taken their lumps. We had a lot of success last year, and, yeah, we kind of regressed a little bit this year in our second season under Coach Phillips. But, you know, anytime there's new blood, new schemes injected in some place, if you have good players, I think the first season you're going to go out and be talented. It's like having a great pitcher coming out, maybe switching from one division to the next. You know, people won't see that stuff. After they see it for a year, they're going to pick up on it a little bit. So that second season, you may not be as effective. But then going into that third year, it's going to be the changes that the coaches are able to make and the players that are able to adapt to them that's going to put you over the top. And I think they're going to be able to do that.
Bobby, from the outside looking in, it seems like chemistry may be a problem for the team. How much of that is true?
I don't think that's true at all. You hear the stuff. Terrell's going to do some of the things that he always does, and but he goes out there and plays pretty well for the most part and does some good things. Tony's going to be who he is. He's a guy that can shrug off almost anything, and I think that may be his greatest attribute is how he's able to handle the media, handle the receivers. Because anytime you have a lot of star power on a team, Tony's almost like Phil Jackson back there. He's got to be able to be the Zen master, control everybody, keep everybody's ego in balance, and he does a great job of that. And he's able to handle those situations and really come out on top. And, as far as the rest of the team, everybody gets along very well. We have one of the tighter teams, from what I've been told. When guys come in, they're very impressed with how well everybody gets along, how guys hang out together. People hang out after practice, playing dominoes, playing cards, just because everybody wants to spend time together.
John-Jacques, I want to ask you, how do you think the future is for Terrell Owens? What's his future with the team?
I mean, heck, if you keep Wade Phillips, you're going to keep Terrell Owens. I mean, he signed a 3-year, $27 million extension in the offseason, got $12.9 million up front. He's not going anywhere, and so it's incumbent on Jason Garrett and Wade Wilson, the quarterback's coach, to figure out, and Ray Sherman, the receivers coach, to figure out how to get him involved. It's not good enough to say it's all his fault, and some of it is his fault. He drops too many passes. He doesn't run the right route all the time. But you got to demand stuff of T.O. You have to demand it. And, the one thing Wade and Jason have to do is they have to demand and make players accountable. It's not good enough to say, well, we'll let you get away with this or, please do better. You have to demand it.
One other follow-up on that, on the turmoil issue, a couple of notable incidents in the last couple of days. One was fullback Deion Anderson and left tackle Flozell Adams getting into an altercation on the plane. What's the story behind that? Well,
I think you have to look at it and know the people that are involved, first of all. Deion's a very high-energy, very emotional guy, and he's going to be like that all the time. And Flozell doesn't usually say a lot, but he gets easily agitated. And after the game, emotions are high. The temper's going to flare a little bit. And I think it was a matter, it was on the airplane what happened. I think it was just as simple as Deion leaning his chair back into Flo getting a little upset, Deion saying something back to him, and there was a little bit of scuffle, but there wasn't anything big. The guys, afterwards were laughing about it at the end of the flight and able to shake it off. But, anytime you lose and what happened and finish our season the way we did, guys are going to be upset about that. So I think that's perfectly natural.
John-Jacques, I got to jump in. We just have about 15 seconds left. A quick answer. What do you expect from this Dallas team next season in terms of record and performance?
I mean, it's kind of hard to say that considering we haven't even been through the offseason or the draft. But let's put it like this. I don't expect them to continue on the upward spike. As long as Wade's the head coach and Jerry's got the structure he's got in place, I think the arrow's pointing downward.
Okay, thank you very much. Jean-Jacques Taylor and Bobby Carpenter, thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, George.
Our poll question today, who is most responsible for the Cowboys missing the playoffs? Offensive coordinator Jason Garrett, Terrell Owens, head coach Wade Phillips, or Tony Romo? On our interactive page, vote in the poll, send us email, view prior OTL feature stories, and sign up for our daily program alert. We'll have the poll results a little later in the show.